Hello there, I'm Mark Baer. My guest, Dr. Shinkai Hakimi. Welcome.
Thank you.
So let's talk about Sahar, and let's talk about you, and let's talk about you first.
All right, that's not hard.
Okay.
Just to introduce myself, I came to Monterey about 1.5 years ago. I'm originally from Afghanistan. My family immigrated here as refugees back in 1981 after the Russian invasion. And we lived in this small little farm town in Iowa. So I grew up on a farm in Iowa. So California is new to me. I was in the Midwest for most of my life, and I've been in California for the last couple of years. But I'm part of this really wonderful organization. It's a nonprofit that's initially based in Seattle, but we work in Afghanistan. We build girls' schools in Afghanistan. We've been there since 2001 after 9/11. And our focus, as you know, just from the news, women had a lot of problems in Afghanistan, especially during the Taliban. And so the rate of education and literacy for women were very low. And so we started off by building a few schools in Afghanistan, and in the last 16 years, it's expanded to now we have 15 schools. We have high schools and smaller elementary schools. In addition to that, we have teacher training centers because teachers are very low in the country. And so we're training the teachers that are working in our schools. And we've developed a program. It was actually developed by our students, our Afghan girls, for Afghan girls to prevent early marriage, because a lot of these girls that were going into the schools, they were being pulled out at such a young age to get married, or they were engaged. And so we wanted to devise a plan, a curriculum to try to keep these girls in school. And so we've involved their fathers, their brothers, the uncles, the local community, in addition to the schoolgirls. And so we're in phase 1 of that program, and it seems to be getting a lot of positive results within the community and within the country itself. So,
do you now you work here as a doctor?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What do you do? What kind of doctor are you?
Oh, sure. I am a pulmonary critical care doctor. I work with Montage, and I work at CHOMP, our local community hospital. So half the time I'm working in the intensive care unit, taking care of really sick patients, and then the other half I have a clinic in Ryan Ranch and take care of patients with any sort of pulmonary issues: asthma, COPD, emphysema. So it's a fun balance. I really enjoy it.
So now, do you get to go back to Afghanistan?
I do. Well, so there's so much instability. It's not the safest place to go.
Yeah.
So when my family came to the U.S.
Yes.
in 1981, I have not been back. I've done a lot of work with Afghans in Afghanistan. It's been a lifelong dream of mine to eventually go back to see the country that I am from and I was born in, but it hasn't happened yet.
So now let's talk about Sahar and
Mm-hmm.
how this works, and
Yeah.
how does the organization is on the ground there and
Yes.
and here, or let's just talk about this.
Yeah, so the organization is definitely on the ground in Afghanistan. We have an office, and we partner up with actually the Afghan government, the Ministry of Education. They're the ones that we have to get their approval in terms of the schools that we build and the curriculum that we teach for the girls. So we have a local office on the ground with our people there, and we partner up with local organizations there to help us run the school. When we build our schools, we actually, again, this is a great way to help the Afghan economy. We get all of our resources from the people in the community in terms of building the schools, keeping the schools up to date, maintaining the schools, the teachers, all of that. Most of our board is within the U.S., and they come from a diverse set of backgrounds, and they're spread all throughout from the East Coast to Washington to California. And so it's a pretty diverse board, but they're all very much invested in Sahar and invested in Afghanistan.
So let's talk about girl power. Now, are girls know this is going on? Are they aware of the need for this? Are they pushing this? Are they banding together? What's happening with girl power in Afghanistan? Yes.
Yeah. So after 9/11 and when the Taliban had left, you have a country that over 60% is under 25, and half of those are girls. 85% of those girls are actually not educated and illiterate. And so that was the time for the girls to rise up, and they did, and demanding an education, demanding rights for them. And so that was the time, it was the perfect time for Sahar to come in and be able to give these girls a voice. And that's what we've been doing for the last, 16, 17 years that we've been in the country, is being able to give these girls a voice through the schools. Because especially with our programs like the Early Marriage Prevention Program, this was a curriculum that's actually very special because there's a lot of programs that are developed from other people outside of Afghanistan, not really understanding the culture and the people and their ways.
So most of Sahar is Afghanistan-based and developed. So this isn't something being imposed from the outside.
No,
okay,
yeah, we're very culturally sensitive, and we actually get our cues from our students in terms of what they want, and not only the students, the communities themselves. So when we choose to build a school in a certain area, we look at where the needs are. We talk to the locals there, the elders there, and assess, where is the greatest need and what can we do to fill that void.
Mm-hmm. So, again, as Americans look at it, we've been in Afghanistan a long time, and they don't make the connection why we should be there. Why should we be there, and why should we be investing in Afghanistan?
Sure. Well, as an American, America has been involved in Afghanistan for almost 30 years. Yeah. Whether you like it or not, America has been involved. They've played a huge hand in what's been happening in the country. And we look at it from what we see in the news through a very one-dimensional view, and that's really not what Afghanistan is. Not anything, anything that you look at through one dimension, you're not getting the whole picture. The reason why Afghanistan is important for Americans and why it's important for the world is, as you can tell, we're in an age where, borders are essentially irrelevant. And if a part of the world is suffering, we eventually get the ripple effect of that. So I think that being able to invest in programs that allow girls in these parts of the world, children in these parts of the world, to be able to get an education, to be able to better themselves, eventually you'll see the ripple effect in America that it's a positive for everybody. We've seen the negative effects of what isolationism can do, what extremism can do, and we can't at this point just say that's not happening in our backyard, because it is coming to our backyard. And so if we invest in the education of children, in the education especially of women, you're creating a society of enlightened people. And so that's why it's important for us to be involved in the country.
Yeah, and Afghanistan was becoming an educated, smart place, mm-hmm. and then the Taliban.
Oh, correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just looking back to when
the historical bones are there.
Exactly. And you also have to understand that, progression is not linear.
Right.
We always have setbacks. Same thing with our country. Our country was founded, and it took us a while to get to where we are today. But now that we're able to provide the tools for Afghanistan or other countries like Afghanistan and be able to impact them in a positive way, we will definitely see the benefits.
Let's talk about the event coming up at the Dolly Museum.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so this is actually our first event in California.
Oh, wow.
So we're very excited about this, and Katrina was graciously, donated her space to have our event, which is amazing.
So this is July
14. July 14 from 5 till 8 p.m. And it's a night at the museum event. We have a variety of Afghan artists. We have the very first Afghan rock band, Kabul Dreams,
Oh, wow.
performing. They actually started in Afghanistan, and they created a lot of publicity because it was new music, a new style. So they're performing. We have the first Afghan American woman that's running for a seat on the House in Congress. And she'll be one of our keynote speakers, Dr. Nadia Hashimi. And then we have Ariana Delawari, who's an Afghan-American documentary filmmaker, who will also be speaking and showing some of her pieces from her film.
So this is a big deal.
Yeah, we're really excited, and
Yeah.
I'm so looking forward to introducing Sahar to the Monterey community and the Bay Area. A lot of people from the Bay Area are coming as well, so we're really excited to show off the work that we're doing and also talk about our biggest endeavor yet, which is actually we're building the very first public boarding school for girls in Afghanistan. The reason why is because of the situation, the safety situation. A lot of these girls, it's not safe for them to go to school. Just walking to school, they can get kidnapped. There's IEDs on the road. And so being able to create a space where these girls can stay.
Rather, so that they can't come up and blow up the school every
Exactly.
time.
And so we're actually working with an architectural firm based in Seattle. They've built one of our previous high school, which is actually getting a lot of reviews in the architectural world that we'll see some pictures of. They're building this boarding school as well. So it's an eco-friendly, sustainable boarding school, and that's really what we're highlighting at this event on July 14.
What's the call to action for people? How do you want people to engage with this? How do you want people to find out about Sahar, what they do? Let's talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, so we'll show our website in a minute. If you go to our website, you can check out all the work that we're doing. Not only are we doing the early marriage prevention program, we have started a girls coding project. So it's an after-school program teaching girls how to write computer code. So you can see all of the work that we're doing. You can donate if you want to volunteer and be able to really get your hands dirty and be involved in our projects. Please, contact us through our website. And for the local people here in Monterey, I would love to see everyone here to be able to come to the July 14 event, which you can go get your tickets from our website.
So what's interesting about this is this has been going on a number of years, and you're learning a lot of best practices over time.
Mm-hmm.
And like a boarding school is an evolved idea from building rural schools to them getting blown up. And how does that involve? How does that evolution work? And are girls that are coming up through the system now getting re-involved? I guess that's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, so the girls that are graduating through our schools, they're definitely involved in our projects. They have a huge voice in terms of the endeavors that we choose to take on. And the fact that we've been in the country for this long, we've developed a great relationship with the government and the locals there. And so they trust us. Like I said, that it's not just one-dimensional. When you go out, you talk to people, you establish a level of trust wherever you go in the world, and they see that we're genuinely there to help them. We're not there to save them. They're strong people. They have the skills, they have the drive, they have the heart to be able to advance. But we're just allowing them an easier way, an easier path for them to be able to get to where they want, because like I said, in Afghanistan, the population, 60% is under 25. In 10 years, you have a population of these young adults that are going to take on the country. And so it's important for us to be able to make an imprint there, a positive imprint.
Yeah. So we don't always view Afghanistan in an optimistic light, and yet you are optimistic, mm-hmm. and good work is getting done. And I think that's a struggle to maintain optimism and project a future, and yet here it is. So this is good news.
Yeah, persistence is key, and I think that's where Sahar's strength is, the fact that we've been there for so long and we've developed relationships with the government itself, with the Ministry of Education, with the elders. Afghanistan is still, a very cultural and traditional country. And so to be able to gain the trust of the elders in the community and see that what we're doing is really benefiting their children for the better. I mean, they see that within just the economy of their communities. With when you educate a woman, you're not just educating one person, you're educating a whole family. It inspires and encourages that family to do better, to start a business, to make sure that their kids are literate. So good work is definitely being done. If you look on the news, you see a one-dimensional view of it. But if you really get out there and try to talk to an Afghan, it's kind of hard in this area. You don't meet too many Afghans here. But luckily California is such a diverse state that, we have so many avenues to pursue. And talking to your neighbors, being open and not having such a one-dimensional view of things, that's the key, I think, just in life in general.
So we're running out of time. I just want to go over everything. Sahar is the name of the organization. July 14th at the Dali Museum.
Yes.
7 to 10 is
5 till 8.
5 till 8, of course.
Yes, 5 till 8.
5 till 8, the Dali Museum. And it's going to be a fabulous event. And you're doing good work.
Thank you so much.
I'm glad to hear your optimism because we don't see it on TV.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for having me.
My pleasure. So I'm Mark Baer. You're watching the YourTown television program. I'm with Dr. Shinkai Hakimi, Sahar. Look it up on the web, and we'll be back. Thank you very much.